Hey there, basketball fans and betting enthusiasts. I'm Coach James Young, and welcome to the second Betting Above the Rim podcast. This is a show where I give you my unfiltered take on all things basketball, the latest hoop trends to in-depth analysis. But we're not stopping there. I'm also going to try and give you some winning betting strategies that'll put a little extra cash in your pocket. It is Monday, November 13th. Welcome to the podcast. In this episode, we're going to go into a bunch of different things, about 6 different topics that I think has been pretty important that we want to look at in the betting and, more importantly, the basketball market. And let's start at the top. And let's start with Anthony Edwards. I'm going to go out and say this right now, folks. Anthony Edwards is a top 10 player in the NBA. And people have waited for this guy to explode, and man, has he exploded. Think about this, folks. Anthony Edwards right now is averaging 28.4 points per game, 10th in the league, 6.2 rebounds per game, 20th, and 5.4 assists per game. He's also shooting the highest clip of his career. He's out shooting his three-point percentage. He's playing good defense, and he's playing for a team in Minnesota that is 7-2. So what happened with Anthony Edwards? To me, folks, a lot of this changed with Ant last year when the playoffs came. I saw a different version of Anthony Edwards, a one that was way more aggressive, but also one that was a little bit more tenacious defensively. You know, when the trade happened last year, folks, and Rudy Gobert was brought in, it was meant to kind of protect Karl Anthony Towns. But what happened is, if you know anything about Anthony Edwards' game, is Anthony Edwards likes to drive the ball to the hoop. And by having Rudy Gobert in there, you have a guy that is fills the lane and doesn't allow drives to happen. So by having him there, it kind of messed up Ant's game a little bit. But what I saw out of Ant this year, particularly the fact that he's shooting the ball from three at about a 36% clip, which you're thinking, that's not great. But folks, let's be honest. Anthony Edwards, for his career, a little bit lower, 35.3. But the fact that he's willing to take the three in the mid-range game, it also seems like this whole Minnesota Timberwolves roster has kind of figured itself out. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with, after Karl Anthony Towns. There's always rumors that Cat's going to be removed, including to maybe somewhere like New York. But Anthony Edwards' play as of late at this team playing at 7-2 right now, it really has to be, folks, one of the early stories of the NBA season. So when you start thinking about who you're going to start your franchise with, and you were talking about the fact that this kid is 22 years old, I don't know if I can name 6 players that would start a franchise over Anthony Edwards. And this is the maturity that we've seen out of Ant, and it's such an exciting thing to see out of a team like Minnesota, a team that I think could be a conference title contender in the next year or so. But when you have a guy like Anthony Edwards, who is a closer, who is an absolute dog now defensively, and is shooting the ball better, and all of his splits are up, you have yourself a chance. And it's been a really good year for a Minnesota Timberwolves team, like I said, that is sitting at 7-2, at the top, right below Denver and Dallas in the West. But remember, they beat Denver down a week ago. So this is a team that is playing really, really well, and you have to look at them as a potential title contender coming down the pipe. But also, Anthony Edwards, folks, is a top 10 player in the NBA, and you could start really talking about, ready for this, folks? Anthony Edwards needs to be in the MVP conversation. I believe in this guy. I think the sky's the limit for a player like Ant Edwards. And if he can continue to bring it on the defensive end of the floor, along with his offense, and shoot the ball at a really good clip, and you continue to get, the rebounding out of Rudy Gobert. Naz Reid has been a really good addition, getting 13 points, 4 rebounds a game off the bench. We could talk about McDaniels being that junkyard dog. Mike Conley is a point guard presence. This team, folks, this team is going to be dangerous, and I love the way Anthony Edwards is leading that group. But as much as I want to talk about a player or a team that I'm extremely excited about, folks, it's not all gumdrops and lollipops here on the Betting Above the Rim podcast. There are going to be times as a coach that I'm going to be critical or I would dare say not understand certain things. And what I'm looking at is there's a team in the Cleveland Cavaliers, folks, and I just didn't wear this burnt orange sweatshirt or sweater because I was going to talk about them. This was just coincidence, to be honest with you. But there's a team in Cleveland that I'm not a big believer of. And if you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had a really good regular season a couple of years ago. They flamed out towards the end, right? They got into the play-in tournament. They didn't make the playoffs. Then they had a really good year the first year of Donovan Mitchell. And then they ran into New York. And New York, a team that, I'll be honest with you, I don't think is a better team basketball-wise than Cleveland. I just thought they were tougher. So that leads me to my issue with Cleveland. And my issue with Cleveland is in the front court. They're the twin towers of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Now, individually as players, they're good players. I'm not knocking them. Evan Mobley's got up to a good start, 16.1 points per game, 10.1 rebounds, 3 assists. I like what I've seen out of him so far. And Jarrett Allen had missed the first 5 games, has been back, and it's giving you about 12 and 6.8. But here's my problem, folks, with Cleveland. The double barrel big system doesn't work in the NBA anymore. Meaning, 2 of your bigger guys being back to the basket guys. You have to have an offense and a team that can go 4 out, 1 in. And I don't think that Evan Mobley is the type of guy that's going to be a 3-point shooter. Folks, he's shooting 16.7%, 23% for his career. We know Jarrett Allen doesn't make threes. So unless you're playing bully ball, right, which is just literally throw the ball at the basket and go get it, how is this team going to be able to compete? Now, I know what you're going to say to me. Well, they went and got Max Strus. Okay, Max can shoot the ball, right? They got, obviously, Donovan Mitchell. They have Karis LeVert. They have, Darius Garland. They got Georges Niang to fortify their bench. And that's the problem I have with Cleveland. Cleveland looked at the series against New York and said, we got to get tougher and we got to shoot the ball better. That's not the problem with Cleveland. The problem with Cleveland, folks, and I'm going to tell you this, they got to break up Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. They got to trade one of them. It's at this point where one's got to be moved because to me, I think Evan Mobley, and that's why I would trade. I would trade Jarrett Allen. I think Evan Mobley could be a damn good center in the NBA. He's long. He's athletic. He can block shots. He can run the floor. Now, is he going to get bully balled a little bit down low? Yes. But how many bigs do we count right now, folks, in the NBA where you throw the ball into the post and tell them to go get a bucket? This isn't the 90s, folks. There's no Patrick Ewings or David Robinsons or Shaquille O'Neals or Tim Duncans, Moses Malone's, Brad Doherty's, Robert Parrish's. The NBA doesn't play like that anymore. So back in the day when you used to have 2 bigs like the Celtics would play McHale and Parrish, or the Knicks would play Oakley and Ewing, or the Spurs would play Robinson and Duncan, Horace Grant, Bull Cartwright. I can go on and on and on, 4 or 5 combos that didn't have a 4 that would go out to the 3-point line or run pick and pop action. The game is different now. So this antiquated 80s, 90s style of basketball that Cleveland's going to play with these two bigs is not something that I believe as a coach is going to win your championship. So you got to move one of them. And here's the thing, folks. You got to do it now. Why? Because your superstar has 1 foot out the door. I don't care what anybody says. Donovan Mitchell did not want to go to Cleveland. He went there. He kept his mouth shut. He plays hard. He battles. I mean, it was pretty funny watching him get Draymond Green thrown out of the game over the weekend. I'm not going to lie. I was having a little bit of fun waving goodbye to him. But at the end of the day, Spider Mitchell wants out. But how do you keep him happy? By winning. Can you take Jarrett Allen in pieces and go get yourself a stretch four? I'm not talking George Niang, and I like George Niang. I like his game a lot, but he's a bench piece. I need a stretch four that can knock down some shots and can stretch out the defense, pick and pop action, and every once in a while you can go high low the other way, get Evan Mobley the ball at the 3-point line or the foul line, run high low action, give it to someone inside, and let them go score. Right? Like honestly, it's not a trade that would never happen. I just talked about the team last segment. Karl-Anthony Towns would be perfect for a team like that. Would be absolutely perfect because he's a stretch four. You can put him inside, you can put Mobley outside, and then you can flip-flop him. You can't do that with Allen and Mobley. There's no respect out there at the 3-point line or even past, I would say, the foul line. So you got to keep Donovan Mitchell happy. And here's the other thing. With this team, does Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland work together? That's the other piece that people want to think about or want to consider is Darius Garland a damn good player? Absolutely. Can Darius Garland hoop? Absolutely. But you're talking about a 6'1" and a 6'3" backcourt in the modern day NBA where most guards are bigger. Cannot work. Now, you're going to say to me, well, Boston's backcourt of Derek White and Drew Holiday isn't overly big. Yeah, but Drew Holiday can guard anybody 1 through 4. So Drew Holiday can take out your starting point guard, your 2 guard, your 3, your 4, whatever you need Drew Holiday to do defensively, he can guard bigger than his position. Does Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell do that for you? So I do think that Cleveland is a team that one needs to break up Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. But I do think they may have to look at if they're going to keep Donovan Mitchell happy, do you need to trade Darius Garland? And you can pick up maybe a bigger point guard that can facilitate and get Donovan the ball, but now they can go become your defensive stopper at the guard spot. I know they have people like Max Strus, but they need to upgrade. And that's going to be a tricky thing, folks, in the Eastern Conference because of there's so many good teams. You know, we've talked last week, we've talked about Boston, Milwaukee being a class of the East, even though they have their struggles at points. I talked quickly about Indiana's playing really well. You know, what we see, New York started to turn the corner a little bit. Miami will figure it out because they're Miami. So you got to think about if you're Cleveland and you're sitting with Donovan Mitchell, at what point do you start to say, we may need to make a move here. We may need to move one of these bigs and get this situation where it's better for Donovan Mitchell to keep him happy, because I do think Donovan Mitchell at the end of the day is going to win out. But when you talk about the East, do you know who I think the beast of the East is? Folks, welcome to Philadelphia. The Philadelphia 76ers right now, to me, are the best team in the Eastern Conference. Why? Number one reason, they don't have James Harden. Number one reason, more than anything else, is addition by subtraction. So when you look at it and you're saying to myself, you're taking a guy that's a future Hall of Famer, an all-time great, who could still play at a high level, and say, if he is not on your team, you are better? Folks, the answer is yes. James Harden became a headache in Philadelphia. Think about what he said after he got traded. They didn't let him be himself. James Harden went on. I want you to listen to this again. They did not let him play his style of basketball. Folks, do we want to look at the stats for James Harden last year? For James Harden that still scored 21 points a game and got you 10.7 assists and led the NBA in scoring. Now, if he's going to sit there and complain about, well, I didn't get the ball enough, damn it, yeah, Joel Embiid. So let's just put that to rest. Yeah, JoJo. So Joel Embiid's got to get his points, and he's the focal point of the offense. But you still led the NBA in assists. And the problem with James Harden to me is James Harden disappears in big spots. Look at James Harden in closeout games. I don't know. Look up and try to find, folks, the last time James Harden scored more than 22 points in an elimination game in the playoffs. I'll wait. Let me know when you find that. Because it hasn't been for a long time. So Philadelphia gets rid of James Harden. And they're playing better than anybody else in the East. Why? Well, number one, we talked about it, the headache is gone. But number two, Tyrese Maxey, folks, is damn good. And they're getting the ball to Tyrese Maxey, and they're letting him cook. And there's been times where if you watch Tyrese Maxey closely, especially during games, watch his uptick of points when Joel Embiid goes to the bench, particularly second quarter, and late third, early fourth. When Tyrese Maxey does not have JoJo in the game and they let Maxey cook, Maxey has been absolutely unbelievable. And Tyrese Maxey, folks, ready? He's giving you 28.6, 7.2, 5.4. Shooting 43% from three, 50.5% from the floor. Folks, he's not giving you James Harden numbers. He's giving you better James Harden numbers with more efficiency, with better defense, and most of all, he's not a headache. So you got that. So you got Maxey playing at an unbelievable level. What else has gone right for Philadelphia? Folks, they made one of the best free agent signings of the offseason late. And I do believe, folks, I want to say late August or early September is when they went and got Kelly Oubre. Now, you're going to be like, Kelly Oubre? Folks, let me tell you something. Kelly Oubre is a bucket. He is an absolute bucket. And we know what happened with Kelly Oubre getting struck by a car over the weekend. I think he's got a broken rib. Let's hope that Kelly Oubre gets back and healthy. Because let me tell you something. That boy, man, 16.3 points per game in 29 minutes? That guy's always been a bucket. He was a 20-point-a-game scorer. And the thing about Kelly Oubre is people look at Kelly Oubre as like, well, he scores. Well, he's not on a winning team. All right. Go ahead, Kelly. Go give them 16.3, 17 points off the bench. They ain't going to call you a loser player anymore because you can straight up hoop. And that's the kind of guy, Vinny Johnson used to call the microwave. He's one of them guys I call the air fryer. I guess, millennials, 2023, I don't know, here's my pop culture. Do we even use microwaves much? I mean, it doesn't, maybe, but I like that air fryer. You know why? The air fryer, it cooks everything nice. It gets all the juices and stuff out of it. It's crispy. This boy game is crispy. So Kelly Oubre going to Philadelphia has been absolutely fantastic. Well, what else has gone right for Philadelphia? Well, obviously you look at the fact of the play of Tobias Harris, getting you about 19 points a game. Tobias Harris, who has scored really well in his career. Folks, why is Tobias hooping? Remember this, folks. Tobias is going to be a free agent after this year. So Tobias is going to cook. And Tobias is playing really well as that third scorer. But let's be honest. I know Maxi's been great. I know Kelly Oubre's been fantastic, and so is Tobias Harris. But we know the two reasons why Philadelphia is Philadelphia right now. And the first one is, I'm going to call him the problem. I don't know if he is the problem. I don't know if it's a nickname. I'm giving him the nickname. Joel Embiid's a problem. Joel Embiid is a damn problem. Why, you ask? I know. Well, should he have won the MVP 2 years ago? Yes. Should he have beaten Joker last year? I don't know. But this guy's following up an MVP season. He's giving you 32.4, 11.7, and 5.7 assists per game. Over 2 assists per game over his career. 2.1 blocks per game, which is a half a block over his career average. So Joel Embiid, and shooting it from 3 at a 36.4% clip, Joel Embiid has taken his game to another level. Think about this. This is a top, 4 player in the sport, and he's taken his game to another level. Think about that for a second, and what Joel Embiid has been doing for the Philadelphia 76ers. So, Maxi's been upped his game. Kelly Oubre's been great off the bench. Tobias Harris is getting you almost 20 a night. JoJo is cooking. You can go into the other things like DeAnthony Melton has played well. They got Batum in this trade. Paul Reed, although not scoring a ton, but is a really good big off the bench. Robert Covington's going to help them out, folks. So they got bench pieces with Korkmaz, with Covington, with Paul Reed. But there's one other piece to the puzzle that's really important. His name is Nick Nurse. I know people can say, he won the championship in Toronto and it was tainted. No. Folks, don't get it twisted. Nick Nurse is one of the 5 best coaches in the NBA today. If you look at Joel Embiid's career, what coach gave him the biggest fits? Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse's teams play hard. They defend. They share the basketball. And Nick Nurse has been absolutely what this team needed to make this run. And this is a big year for Philadelphia, folks, because like I said, with Tobias Harris being a free agent at the end of the year, and you never know what Joel Embiid said before the year, if it's not in Philadelphia, it's somewhere else. This is the move they had to make. Daryl Morey did the smart thing by just getting rid of James Harden. I know he wanted Terrence Mann. I know he wanted all these pieces. But he got rid of the problem. And because he got rid of the problem, the Philadelphia 76ers, I said it, not Milwaukee, not Boston, the Philadelphia 76ers are the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. Let's go out west. And let's go out west to the, I don't know, what do you want to call them? The unicorn? The alien? Haley's Comet? I don't know. Big Victor Wembanyama, who has struggled early on, sometimes with the physicality of the NBA, which happens. But this is not about Victor Wembanyama. This is about Greg Popovich and what Pop needs to be doing with Wembanyama. It's very simple. Are the San Antonio Spurs going to win a championship this year? No. Are the San Antonio Spurs going to make the playoffs this year? No. Are the San Antonio Spurs going to make it to the play-in tournament? Probably not. Give this kid 35 minutes a night and let him develop. This is what it's all about. Like this whole thing that in the beginning of the game, 4 minutes in, you're bringing Wembanyama to the bench. Remember, folks, last week I talked about that betting nugget, right? You've noticed what's happened, right? That it's almost hit every time. When he goes out, his points drop, you jump in line, you get it over. I don't want to see Victor Wembanyama coming out the first 4 minutes of the game unless he's in foul trouble. I know you have Keldon Johnson. I know you have Sohan. I know you have Collins. Who the hell wants to see Collins play 38 minutes a night, 36 minutes a night? Nobody. You have to let this kid develop. Forget bringing him along slowly. The guy dropped 38 points on KD a week and a half ago. He doesn't need to be sitting out big stretches of the fourth quarter. He doesn't need to be sitting out 4 minutes into the game unless he's picked up 2 fouls and you got to put him to the bench. I want to see this kid play 35 to 38 minutes a night. I want this kid to start the game, and I want him to play the first 8 minutes. Let him play the first 8 minutes. Take him out at the 4 to 3 minute mark, right? And then let him sit out until the 10-minute mark of the second quarter. He's missed about 6 minutes of game time, but he's probably gotten about 15 minutes of rest. Let him play out the rest of the quarter, the rest of the half. Do the same thing in the third and the fourth quarter. He's at 36 minutes a night. The kid needs to play 36 minutes a night because you need to know what he is. Because you know why, folks? We don't know because we've never seen it before. I guess I could say I thought initially like Porzingis. This is Porzingis plus 4 inches, plus a better jump shot, plus a better handle, plus more athletic, plus a better shot blocker. Like, if Katie called Porzingis the unicorn, what the hell we call this kid? Like you said, alien? Haley's Comet? I don't know. But what we don't want to see is this kid sitting on the bench in critical parts. Pop, you've done a fantastic job. I feel bad as a coach even questioning what you've done. Because, I'll be honest with you, you're on the Mount Rushmore of coaches in the history of this sport. But your last act as a coach is to develop this kid. And there's a reason why San Antonio gave you this contract extension. It's because they believe you can develop him. You're not going to develop him when he's sitting on the bench. You have to let this kid play. And you got to let him play through mistakes. Let him deal with it. Let him foul out. Let him get 2 fouls in the first quarter. Let him get 3 in the first half. Let him figure out when to jump for a block shot and when not to jump. Like, he's got to figure this out. And he's not going to do it on the bench. But I'll say this, folks. With Wembanyama, with Vassell, with Johnson, with Sohan, folks, they got pieces in San Antonio. They got pieces. But the best part of that organization, obviously, is Wembanyama, and they have to do a better job of getting him more time. Let's go back to the Eastern Conference. I am going to be in the minority here. And as a coach, sometimes you're in a minority. You have a different thought process than everybody else, and whatever. It's our thoughts as coaches. We don't care. I don't like the Damian Lillard trade with Milwaukee. I'll say it. I don't like it. And I think it's going to come back and it's going to backfire on them. And it has nothing to do with Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, folks, is a remarkable offensive player. As good as there is in the league at the point guard position at getting shots off. As good as anyone at creating a shot. One of the good brothers in the league. One that everybody respects for how hard he plays. How he was loyal to Portland for all those years. I'm not here to knock the Dame trade and say, oh, backfire because of Dame. I love Dame offensively. The problem is you sacrificed defense for offense. And offense, to me, will help you in the regular season. It will not win you in the playoffs. When you look at Milwaukee, who are the 2 guards that they're missing? Drew Holiday, and I'm going to say it, Grayson Allen. Drew Holiday, folks, is the best defender in the league. It's not even close how good of a defender Drew Holiday is. He is the type of guy, you know what I want to call Drew Holiday? I'm going to call him the Warden. That's his nickname. He's the Warden. Because when Drew Holiday checks you, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. Go watch any game he plays, and he can guard multiple positions. He will put you in jail. And don't get me started with Grayson Allen. Now, let me tell you something, folks. Anybody who knows coaching knows I hate Duke. I hate Duke. It's hard for me to root for R.J. Barrett as a Knicks fan because I hate Duke so much. All right? My second cousin, Adonis Jordan, played for Roy Williams at Kansas. Obviously, when Roy Williams go to Carolina, the fact that I coached at Monmouth and I got to know King Rice and J.R. Reed really well, I love Carolina. I hate Duke. But God damn it, give me Grayson Allen on my team any day of the week. He's tough. He's ferocious. He defends. He can knock down shots. And he plays with that little bit of like, I don't want to call it's more than aggressiveness. Anger. Like, I don't know what it is. But let me tell you this, folks. Milwaukee's missing those two. They're missing those two. Because what also it did is Chris Middleton, it allowed Chris Middleton to be what he is last year when Dame is out, which is a Chris Middleton that, folks, can create and get his own shot off. This guy, Chris Middleton, is a flat-out player that's played well for a long time. Now, listen, they got their concerns with Chris Middleton. Can he stay healthy? Well, we don't know. Can Brook Lopez stay healthy? We don't know. How are these guys going to hold up? We don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. Chris Middleton is really, really good, and he can't be averaging 11.1 points per game. I know he only got 10 points last game, but I like the way he looked at 19 points in 20 minutes against the Indiana team that just likes to get up and down the floor. But the last part about Milwaukee is Adrian Griffin. Adrian Griffin was Nick Nurse's top assistant with Toronto, and Adrian Griffin has been an NBA assistant for a long time. And Adrian Griffin deserved the shot that he got. No doubt in my mind. This brother deserves a head coaching job, and damn it, he got it. And I loved what I saw out of him after Giannis got thrown out of the game. He caught 2 tacks the next game and got thrown out. That's a smart rookie head coach. Understanding you got to have your mind, and your mind has got to be that you got to protect your best player. And if your best player respects you, all things are glorious. And that's what he's done. I'm just concerned with the lack of coaching on the bench in regard to experienced assistants. I've done it a couple of times at the college level when I had to, as an interim, be the head coach for my boss. I don't think people understand the number of decisions that are made in a 48-minute basketball game. And when you go from the assistant chair to the head chair, it's completely different. Because now all the problems start with you. The team loses because of you. The effort isn't there because of you. So you need experienced assistants, and I do think not having Terry Stotts come back, or who was going to be an assistant, but left right before the season, is something that I think is going to be a problem. Let's wrap up today's podcast talking about the college game and talking about a team that I have always been a big believer in, mainly because of the coach. And that's the Houston Cougars, and that's Kelvin Sampson. Now, I know Kelvin Sampson's done some things in the past with his coaching that's gotten him into hot water. I get it, or whatever. We can talk about that all we want. I'm going to tell y'all something right now. Kelvin Sampson is one of the 5 best coaches in college basketball. Of the last 25 years, Kelvin Sampson can coach his damn ass off. And what he has done has been fabulous at Houston. But a knock with Houston has been they've been in the American Conference. Well, not anymore. Houston just took themselves into the Big 12, into what I think is top to bottom the best conference in college basketball. Between, I don't even have to go into Texas Tech and Texas and Kansas and Oklahoma and Oak State and TCU and Houston and Baylor. I can go on and on and on about this league. But now you're giving Kelvin Sampson team Big 12 regular season games and the Big 12 tournament before they get to the NCAA tournament. So you think going to the Big 12 and maybe putting a couple of more losses on his resume year by year is going to make Kelvin Sampson and Houston less dangerous? Oh, God, no. That makes it even more dangerous. Because when you look at this roster and you bring back some of these guys like Jamal Shedd and Jawan Roberts, but then you turn around and you get Dunn and Cryer. Now you got 4 dudes on your roster that can give you 15 a night. And if you want to talk about the warden, like I talked about Drew Holiday, oh, Lord, what the hell do you call Kelvin Sampson? The Secretary of Defense? Because God knows, they put you, I guess if Drew Holiday puts you in jail, Houston puts you in the Supermax. Like the Supermax Penitentiary, where the window is like that wide and you can't see, and if you escape, you got to get like 70 miles of civilization. Yeah, that's bringing the ball up the floor against Houston and getting to the basket. It's 94 feet long in the court. You feel like you got to go 70 miles to go get yourself a basket. And here's the thing what Houston does. They do it possession by possession by possession by possession by possession to the point where you just say, uncle. This team is the best defensive team in college basketball the last couple of years. They have a Hall of Fame coach. And the knock on Houston was they didn't play in a strong conference in the American. And now they're in the Big 12. I will say this. At some point, with them being in the Big 12, before he retires, I really do believe Kelvin Sampson's going to win a national championship. I really, in my heart, believe it. And I think this team could be the one to do it. And it's amazing that I'm saying that this team could be the one to do it after losing a guy like Jarrett Walker, losing a guy like a Marcus Sasser. I'm telling you that they lost 2 all-time, and Jarrett's only played for a year, 2-time all-time great Houston players. Now, I ain't going into the Olajuwon and the Clyde Drexler and not that Houston team, but still all-time great players in the last 25 years. They lost 2 of them. They go to a better league. And I'm telling you that they're more dangerous now than ever. Don't sleep on Houston potentially winning the NCAA basketball championship. This has been Coach Young. This has been our second episode of the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Remember, you can find the podcast on all your platforms. You know where you can find me on SportsGrid nightly, most likely on Betting Above the Rim, and all other shows on SportsGrid. You can follow me at Coach Young NJ. Please make sure you follow me, follow all the great hosts, and make sure you are downloading the SportsGrid app. This app is fantastic. It's got all our content from all our hosts and all our shows. We give you picks. We give you stuff live. We give you our plays. It's your one-stop shop if you want to get ahead of the game. No one brings it, and no one doesn't like SportsGrid. And it is a must if you're a serious bettor to get the SportsGrid app. I'm Coach Young. It's a pleasure to be on with you today. Betting Above the Rim podcast. Next one will be taped on Wednesday to be released on Thursday. One topic we'll get into in the next podcast, the Houston Rockets. I'm telling you, they're coming. And it's because of Ime Udoka. This has been Coach Young. Until next time, we'll see you on the next Betting Above the Rim podcast, only on SportsGrid.